All right, so I started a new Visual Studio solution, a Visual Studio project. I put in a header information with my name and a casual description of the program. I'm going to pound include IOStream, which is where CIN and COUT are, the library they're in. And then I'm going to pound include CLimits because we already know that we're going to need to use those. Using namespace standard, and then I have my int main. I put a comment on my closing curly brace, and then inside of here I'm just going to create a number, and I'm going to prompt for that number, and I'm going to read it in, and I'm just going to mirror it back to the user. So let's see what happens when I run this program. So here we go. Enter a number. So if I key in 12, it should mirror it back. I might have to wait until my dogs have stopped playing. All right, let's see if we can record it while they're in the middle of some quiet play. All right, so I'm going to prompt for a second number. So how about if we prompt for a second number? All right, I probably need, we'll call this num2 because it is the second number. And then I'm going to prompt for this number. I'll even say enter another number. Might get loud play. And then I'm going to try to read in that second number. And then we're going to run it and see what will happen. So here's my first number. This is good. Here's my second number. That is also very good. I mean, works like a charm, right? But what happens if they key in something invalid in the first input? Let's say, for instance, they key in something that is non-numeric. What do we think is going to happen? Well, it definitely told me that I entered something, but then it didn't wait for that second prompt like it did the first time. It didn't wait for it. That's because the input stream is in failure. And as a result, this second read, because the input stream is in failure, the second read will not wait. All right, I think the playtime might be over for now, but you just never know. All right, so line 26. If the CN is in failure, there's two things that we have to do. First of all, we have to clear the failure. And then second of all, we just kind of clear out everything, or I should say ignore everything that happens to be in the input stream. Those two things are what we're going to want to do. And so I'm going to use a while loop to do this. And I'm going to say while the input stream is in failure, that would be in cn.fail. And it is a method, so I'm going to put the parentheses around it. All right, so while it is in failure, there's a couple of things that we need to do. The first thing that we want to do is we want to clear the failure. All right, let's try this again. See how long we can have quiet. We're a jealous old man that doesn't want the two others playing. So here we go. So I don't even know where I left off. If they get into it again, I'll have to start this recording over again, but here we go. So line 26, two things we have to do. If somebody keys in a non-numeric input into a numeric field, we're going to have to clear the failure because the input stream is in failure. And then I need to clear out everything that might be in the input stream. And so while CN is in failure, line 27, CN in failure, we are going to clear everything. Excuse me. We're going to clear the failure. That's so that I can do another read. Because if you noticed, I wasn't able to do another read on line, where is it? Line 24. I couldn't do another read because the input stream is in failure. And then we are going to clear the input stream. And that, of course, needs to be a comment. So the two ways that are the two things that we're going to do here. The first thing is we're going to say cn clear, cn.clear. And that, of course, is a function. And so it needs the parentheses after it. And to clear the input stream, we're going to do cn.ignore. And we've done this one before. cn.ignore. Remember I said that there are two parameters. And we actually used a much larger one with the limits and the size max. This time what we're going to try is int underscore max, which is a constant. I can tell from the fact that it is uppercased. And then the second parameter would be a character. So I'm going to put, or a new line. So int max, the maximum size of the input stream, or until I reach a new line character, surrounded by single quotes. And of course, I need the semicolon after that. Now I'm going to find the int max in the C limits. That was line 7. This is where int max comes from, line 7. And once I have done that, it's always a good idea to tell them that something went wrong. Because I'm going to prompt them again, and I need to probably tell them that something went wrong. So I am going to give them a polite message that says something like invalid input, and I'm inside of a while loop right now, right? And so then I'm going to prompt them again. I'll even force a new line inside of there, and then we're going to prompt them again. So I might say cout. All right, actually what I think I'm going to do is tell them something went wrong, and then we're going to prompt again, and I can do that on the same line. So I'm going to remove my semicolon, and then we will say something like, oh, we'll force a new line there, and then we'll say enter that number again, and then I will see in the number, and then we will display what they did. If you don't mind, I'm going to still line 18. Where it is right there, I'm going to still line 18. I'll just paste it down in here. I'm still inside of the while loop. So prompt them again, and I'm going to display it and see if it works this time. So let me run the program and see if we're getting what we expect now. All right, so this was our first unprotected one, and if I keyed in something invalid in there, it would have put this input stream in failure. So this is enter another number. I'm just going to put a non-invalid in there. Now it's going to say invalid input. Enter it again. Nowhere. And then as soon as I put in something that is a valid numeric input, now all of a sudden it is going to continue my program. All right, looking back on that, I think I'm going to move line 34 out of the loop, and I think I'm going to put that below the loop because as I was watching the video, I'm seeing that it is displaying 0 every time you entered a 0, every time I keyed in something invalid. So this time I'm going to move the you got it right, this is what you entered. I'm going to move that outside of the while loop. So this time when I key in something invalid, it just tells me that's invalid. 1, we'll say 2, 3, and then when I finally put something in, now it finally tells me that I got it right. All right, so the original question was, I'm going to go down outside of my while loop, and the original question was to force a valid range. I'm pretty sure that that's what we were trying to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt the user for, let's say, enter a number between, I don't know, 19 and 125. I don't know, something like that. So then I'm going to cin, let's just use num again because we already have that one, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say while my cin is in failure, there's 3 things in a looping, or excuse me, when I'm trying to force a range. First of all, I need it to be within the range, and second of all, I need the input stream not to be in failure. And then we'll have our opening and closing, end while. And so my condition is going to be 3 things. I need it to be in the range, and I need the input stream not to be in failure. So there's going to be 3 parts to this condition. The first one is that my input stream is not in failure. So I could say not cin.fail, but cin.fail is a Boolean outcome. It is either in failure or it's not. So I don't have to say in not cin.fail. I can just say not cin. Let me make sure I get that right. And then the second one, I could say or, and then we're going to see if we can get our range. So I'll say num is if it's not in failure, or num1 is less than, what did we say, 19, or num is greater than, what was our number, 125? Greater than 125. So here we go. The condition on here that says not CN, that says my input is in failure. So while input is in failure, do it again. Or while the number is less than 19, do it again. Or while the number is greater than 125, do it again. So I can do all three of those conditions inside of here. And so I only need to fix the failure if the input stream is in failure. If it's just outside of my range, I don't have to fix the failure. So I would say fix the failure. So that would be if not CN. So this tells me the only time if it's not a CN, I'll put an and. If here, remember the two things that we do. If the input stream is in failure, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to lines 28 and 29. We're going to do a cn.clear. That is a function we're going to clear the failure or reset the input stream. And then we're going to clear the input stream using a cn.ignore. And that is a function with two parameters. Remember the first, we could have said int max, like on line 29, I said int max. You could actually put a very, very large value if you wanted to in there, something like a very large value. And then the second one is a character new line. So it's going to surround it by double quotes. Either one of those, I can just ignore 100,000 characters up until I reach the new line, or if I reach the new line first. So either one, line 29 at max or line 48, you can just put a very, very large number in there. Either one of those will work. So if it's in failure, I need to fix the failure. And then, of course, in a while loop, we need to change the condition, right? And the change of the condition that brought me in here in the first place was to prompt again, because they got something wrong. So I might want to say something like invalid input. I don't have to specify that it was not numeric or outside the range. I can just say invalid input. I'll force a new line here. And I might just decide to force a new line before my invalid input. We'll force a new line and I will say enter a number. Oh, I got my closing double quotes. Enter a number between 19 and 125. All right. Is that, there we go. Enter a number, oh, I have too many E's in between. There we go. Enter a number between 19 and 25, and then we're going to read that in. Now, so I have effectively changed the condition. I don't have to tell them that it was non-numeric. I could if I wanted to. I could put that statement inside of my if. That's not a number. And then I could say invalid input anyway. Whatever effective prompt that you want to use or error message that you want to do. So let's try this and see if it's working. All right, so here we go. Enter a number between 19 and 25. I could enter something outside of the range, invalid input, something outside of the range, or I should be able to put in a non-numeric value. And now it's going to force a number between 1 and 10. It's going to force a number between 1 and 10. Now I can truly force valid input.